Welcome to today's class. Let's understand about eclipses. This is not included in your syllabus. It's just for pleasure and understanding the phenomena of the celestial bodies. What is an eclipse and what are the types of eclipses? An eclipse takes place when one heavenly body, such as a moon or planet, moves into the shadow of another heavenly body. There are two types of eclipses on Earth, an eclipse of the moon and an eclipse of the sun. Lunar eclipse is which we can relate to the moon, and solar eclipse is one which we relate to the sun. What is a solar eclipse? We all know that the moon orbits the earth. Sometimes, when the moon orbits the earth, it moves between the sun and the earth. When this happens, the moon blocks the light of the sun from reaching the earth. This causes an eclipse of the sun or solar eclipse. During a solar eclipse, the moon casts a shadow of its onto the earth. There are three types of solar eclipses. The first is a total solar eclipse. A total solar eclipse is only visible from a small area on earth. The people who see the total solar eclipse are in the center of the moon's shadow when it hits earth. The sky becomes very dark as if it were night. For a total eclipse to take place, the sun, moon, and earth must be in a direct line. The second type of solar eclipse is a partial solar eclipse. This happens when the sun, moon, and earth are not exactly lined up. The sun appears to have a dark shadow on only a small part of its surface. The third type of an annular solar eclipse. An annular eclipse happens when the moon is farthest from earth. Because the moon is farther away from earth, it seems smaller. It does not block the entire view of the sun. The moon in front of the sun looks like a dark disk on top of a large sun colored disk. This creates what looks like a ring around the moon. During a solar eclipse, the moon casts two shadows on earth. The first shadow is called the umbra. This shadow gets smaller as it reaches earth. It is the dark center of the moon's shadow. The second shadow is called the penumbra. The penumbra gets larger as it reaches earth. People standing in the penumbra will see a partial eclipse. People standing in the umbra will see a total eclipse. Solar eclipses happen once every 18 months. Unlike lunar eclipses, solar eclipses only last for a few minutes. What is a lunar eclipse? The moon moves in an orbit around the earth, and at the same time, earth orbits the sun. Sometimes earth moves between the sun and the moon. When this happens, earth blocks the sunlight that normally is reflected by the moon. We all know that moon is a rocky substance and is not a self-illuminating satellite. The sunlight is what causes the moon to shine. Instead of light hitting the moon's surface, Earth's shadow falls on it. This is an eclipse of the moon. A lunar eclipse can occur only when the moon is full, that means on a full moon day. A lunar eclipse can be seen from Earth at night. There are two types of lunar eclipses: total lunar eclipse and partial lunar eclipse. A total lunar eclipse occurs when the moon and the sun are on exact opposite sides of Earth. Although the moon is in Earth's shadow, some sunlight reaches the moon. The sunlight passes through Earth's atmosphere, which causes Earth's atmosphere to filter out most of the blue light. This makes the moon appear red to people on Earth. A partial lunar eclipse happens when only a part of the moon enters Earth's shadow. In a partial eclipse, Earth's shadow appears very dark on the side of the moon facing Earth. When people see from Earth during a partial lunar eclipse depends on how the sun, Earth and moon are lined up. A lunar eclipse usually lasts for a few hours. At least two partial lunar eclipses happen every year, but total lunar eclipses are rare. It is safe to look at a lunar eclipse, unlike the solar eclipses, which need a film or to avoid the ultraviolet rays and the radiation of the sun. Never look at the solar eclipse directly. What is the importance of understanding eclipses? Solar eclipses remain of great interest to scientists. The sun's atmosphere, the corona, is only visible from Earth naturally during a total solar eclipse. The temperatures in the corona cross the million degree Celsius mark compared to the much cooler 6000 degrees of the sun's surface. People worldwide are trying to find out why. The 1868 solar eclipse was an opportunity to study what the sun is made up of. They were surprised, that is, the scientists were surprised to find an unknown element in it. The same one which we know is the second most abundant element in the universe, helium. This second element of the periodic table was first discovered not on Earth but on the Sun. Lunar eclipses do have a considerable significance, which is the plane of the orbit of the moon around the Earth is almost the same as the plane of the orbit of the Earth around the Sun. That means tides can be much higher than if the moon were in, say, a polar orbit around Earth. It is believed that the tides might have significantly sped the development of life. Lunar eclipses can yield information about the cooling of the moon's soil when the sun's radiation is suddenly removed, and therefore about the soil's conductivity of heat and its structure. How do eclipses impact the Earth's atmosphere? A solar eclipse is an amazing celestial event. The phenomena has little impact on Earth. It may, however, have a small but noticeable effect on weather in the areas that experience a total eclipse. The birds and animals are confused and return to their nests and homes. The twilight, which we usually see during the dusk time, is observed even though it is midday or the primary hours of the day. A lunar eclipse, in fact, interferes with the gravity of the earth, and the strong gravity of the earth and sun impact in high tides. The color of the moon also can be seen as blood red. The surface of the moon can be studied deeply during an eclipse. The sun constantly emits invisible infrared rays that can damage your eyes. Ordinarily, we have no reason to gaze at the sun. An eclipse gives us a reason, but we shouldn't. If you wish to watch the solar eclipse, please follow all the precautions, consult your parents, and also gather details about how to watch a solar eclipse which is falling on the 21st of June of 2020 this year. Happy watching it, or you can watch it on television